Don't know how to build a team from scratch or find good teammates? DreamTeam.gg, the ultimate team building platform. Find and connect with new players, coaches and teams. Manage and monetize your team. Get on fast track to advance from novice to amateur and, if desired, to professional gamer. Join DreamTeam.gg today.
It's the quick scope! This is unreal! Anything is possible! Anything is possible!
Ustillo is a monster, Tom!
Getting ready for this one, and so should you. Our final day is here. It feels like only yesterday we kicked this tournament off with 16 teams, and now we have ourselves 2 in the final and 2 battling to secure themselves either 3rd or 4th. The 3rd-4th playoff will be coming up first between some big names. FaZe and Liquid going to be duking it out. I'm your host, Machine, for one final day. I'm feeling a bit croaky. Listen to that deep voice. Radio Live. Ooh. Listen to that. I like that. Anyway, Duncan's joining me, as is Natu. Gentlemen, oh, you were all dressed up today. Look at
Much
this.
like FaZe, I thought I was doing the final. You know what? We'll do our best. We'll do our
Look
best.
at you.
We'll do our best.
Fly as hell.
Yeah, unfortunately, they give it to some miscreant from down under who barely even. Probably just come with a lumberjack jacket on or something, you know, a pair of
He
Bermuda
was
shorts.
actually. Chad did wear a jacket today.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yesterday. Excuse me. Yeah.
Not
We dress to impress. Yeah. We definitely do. And Natu once again at it again with the ties.
Listen, yeah. I mean, I wanted to do the Finland blue today, just
yeah,
because Sonny's playing the final. You know, because we're going to be meeting at the marketplace today.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely what's going down. This is going to be awesome. Now, first things first. I'm the realist. We need to talk a little bit about Liquid and their the fact that they are in this this position. They managed to get themselves into top 4, and the fact of the matter is, I think we can start getting very excited about what's coming up for Liquid into 2018. They know they're on the list alongside the likes of Mouse, Na'Vi, that not only have made a run here, but we have high hopes, I think, coming into the rest of the year.
Here's the thing to think about. Liquid is the team that has the most to gain from this exact match we're about to play now. Because if they beat FaZe now, think of the run they've had at the last 2 tournaments. They'll have beaten SK Gaming twice, beaten Cloud9, the major champions, beaten FaZe. Like, this is basically, if you can beat these teams, you could be a major champion. You could win massive tournaments. So I actually think they will be pretty pumped for this game, and they should. I mean, the good thing about this tournament as well, remember, is with the Katowice coming up next week, all these teams, even if you go out, you treat it like practice. Like, some of the teams have stayed here. I know Virtus.pro stayed here right up until yesterday. They were still practicing. So it's not going to actually be, I think, like those traditional tournaments where the reason why the 3rd place game often is a letdown is because you're about to go home anyway, and you might have a week off after that. You know, it feels like the tournament ended.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I remember before Summit, they said when NAF joined the team just a few days prior that they're going to be treating that as pure practice. They're not going to take any pressure on how well they're going to be doing there. Well, they won the whole tournament, and now they've also had a tremendous showing at this tournament as well. So, yeah, I mean, they seem to have the pieces to the puzzle sorted out, but obviously also I think you have to give it a lot of credit to Zeus for his coaching work. Obviously, before he was in SK, and now he's been working with these guys for a long period of time. Having them play at the major, he seems to be a tremendous coach, 100%.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's probably a lot of people that may not have been able to catch the games yesterday. The fact that we did have Na'Vi in that final, we're going to be very kind of, I don't know, not confused, but we probably should cover that now as well, because we won't have the opportunity to talk about that coming up. That's the grand final after this one. Let's just kind of get our heads back into yesterday, because we had the opportunity to talk about it, and Na'Vi put on quite the show.
Yeah, and especially, I think probably the most exciting aspect, if you're looking forward to the final, is like I could have seen a world they could have made a final, but it would have taken this simple performance and then maybe even a worse performance from the opponent. They got an amazing, like, you know, MVP level performance from Simple, but in that particular game, that was the game where most of the other team came to play. I mean, I saw in that one, Edward winning all these clutches. Obviously, Flamey carried the third map. You actually had, I think Electronic was better on the second one, if I remember correctly. You had pretty much the team performance that Na'Vi's never had with this lineup, or actually, sadly, since Simple pretty much got to the team when it already, you know, everything was starting to kind of decay. So if you want to watch the final and hope, is Na'Vi going to continue? Was it a one-hit wonder? The fact that they had like 3 good T-sides in a row, that in itself is a really promising sign going into a final where, in theory, Mousesports should actually be easier to beat than FaZe. So I think anything's possible in this final.
Anything possible.
From FaZe to playing against the budget FaZe. Yeah, certainly should be easier,
I see
right?
it, yeah.
Okay, I see what
Makes
you did
sense,
there.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. It was tremendous to see them actually really, really play well on the T side. That was a key component for them, because before we saw them play and it was very disjointed, the timings were off, they didn't seem to have any cohesion, but yesterday everything was done with purpose. It seemed like everything they were doing, it wasn't just because they want to wait for the last 30 seconds, but there was a reason behind the things they were doing. They were changing pace, and yeah, like Duncan said, everyone was also contributing. It's like the difference between frags on the players was they were very even on the scoreboard, and I think that's very, very telling. It means that it was a team effort instead of an individual or two going ham.
Absolutely, and they did go ham, a full 3 maps versus FaZe, and that's why they find themselves here in the game that we're trying to get our heads around. When we do talk about FaZe, we do, you know, kind of sometimes, when we're critical of FaZe, it's often just because we have such high expectations. We expect them to be in every final. We expect to see them convert the majority of them. But was it you, Duncan, or was someone upstairs who spoke to me off air and was just saying that it's easy to forget how good FaZe have been playing? Was it you?
Yeah. Well, the point I was kind of making was they're like literally at times like a round or two away from basically this being like the FaZe era, them being the dominant team. Already people would be writing articles like, you know, where do they stack up with the all-time great teams? Because I was making the point to Alex that at the last one, when they made the final of the major, that was like the 6th final they'd been in 9 lands they'd played together. And obviously adding another top 4, that's 7 top 4s out of 10 lands. This is already sort of historic greatness. You're talking about the Fnatics, the SKs of the world, the best teams ever. Now, what's cost them, obviously, is they've been in a lot of these matches that not only did they not win, but they've had a lot that looked like gimmies. Like when you play Na'Vi here, that's supposed to be a final. When you play Cloud9 in the final, who you've beaten all this stuff, that's supposed to be a championship. So that's the problem. Like, I agree. If this was another team, so for example, when we talk about Mousesports in the final, everything's going to be praised. It's going to be, look where they've come from. Look at all the things that came together. Even though, obviously, they've had way worse results than FaZe. The problem is for FaZe, you see the names in the lineup, you see the things they have done at times and how amazing they can look. You have to be critical, because that's the part that's glaring, actually. Yeah. It's the fact that, why aren't they in the final now? Why aren't they lifting the trophy after their rivals SK go out? So it sounds harsh, but here's the thing. If they were able to deliver on that, they would get the ultimate praise. So I feel like it is kind of like an even scale in that sense.
Well, where do you weigh in on this conversation, Natty, when it comes to, you know, FaZe Clan and just how great they have looked, unable though to kind of break into the legacy era, the FaZe era as such?
I mean, what I feel is that first of all, I accidentally was eavesdropping on an interview Kerrigan was doing for HLTV, I believe, and he was saying how the tournament would be easier for them now that SK was going out. So it kind of shows the mindset that they're into, and their focus is a lot about SK because they've been the nemesis, right? And I think what that's done is obviously that they've been focusing on certain maps that they would encounter in that matchup, which means that they will not be putting a lot of effort into the other ones, like the trains where they used to be always very, very good on. So what it means that they won't necessarily become worse on the map per se, but they won't have the same feel for those maps because they just haven't grinded them as much, and therefore they will put themselves in a situation where opponents that are steaming hot, that are actually playing good Counter-Strike, can definitely just by winning a few key rounds be able to beat them. So I think that comes to it too as well.
I definitely agree on that point. Like, actually, the part that I guess we all look past because FaZe has been good on train is what a great veto that ended up being for Na'Vi. That little gamble they took at the end where they banned Mirage, but they basically were saying, hey, if you want to play Nuke as the third map, go ahead, but I don't think either of us want to play it. Turned out FaZe didn't, and therefore they got Train, which not only had Na'Vi played a bunch in this tournament, but as Natu says, that's actually the map that FaZe sort of like sacrificed, thinking, right, well, if we're going to be playing an SK or something, we need to get like our cash to a really high level. Maybe if we play a mouse sports, they'll make us play Nuke. They put in so much time on those specialist maps that actually maybe that was the one weak point that no one else really saw in the map pool, but Na'Vi did a good job of identifying.
God, yeah, it's not often we see someone float Nuke all the way until their opponent's final.
Yeah, exactly.
That was,
especially when you're the one that doesn't play it.
Yeah,
it's pretty
God
ballsy
damn it,
gamble,
that
actually.
was-
Yeah,
that was pretty cheeky, but indeed, that's going to be coming up for your grand final. Na'Vi are going to be playing versus Mouse Sports for the grand final here of the StarSeries I-League Season 4 finals. It's hard to get my head around that one. StarSeries I-League Season 4 finals, and the grand finals are coming up after this. First up, though, we have to get our heads around FaZe and Liquid. Now, we've already made it clear that, you know, head-to-heads, we just brought them up on your screen, Liquid have not bested FaZe. They've not been able to topple the FaZe clan. Do you think this is their opportunity? You've got a kind of a downtrodden FaZe.
I think a good factor for them is that obviously, despite what a great format we have, where you can play opponents again and again, like Na'Vi and FaZe had already played, Team Liquid and Mouse had already played in the tournament. Actually, these two teams haven't met yet. That's one of the factors that's already interesting. So basically, FaZe have never played against the NAF era of Team Liquid. They played the old Team Liquid, and obviously most famously in that ESL1 New York final where they absolutely crushed them, and at that point in time, that was kind of like Team Liquid was breaking through, and then that was the real setback. That kind of showed them, hey, there's a difference between the world champions and a good team. So I think at this point in time, for Team Liquid, they actually do kind of have a little bit of a surprise factor, because I don't really know that FaZe necessarily know what the difference is when you're playing against NAF, especially because with the way the bracket was, I think FaZe would have been waiting to get to the final to start putting any time into looking at Liquid, because you never had to face them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you look at the path Liquid have taken here, it's been quite the journey. I mean, they're going 3 maps. They're just getting full 30 rounds, and the opponents they've beaten, it's the likes of Virtus Pro, Renegades. They did manage to get that SK win,
Yes,
which I think
that was a big
that's
upset,
the
yes.
big one, right? That's all we have.
And they've got a lot of experiences playing together in this tournament, haven't they? If you go through the HLTV stats on the maps, it feels like the first page of everyone who's played this tournament is basically just star ladder. It's so many maps they've played this tournament. I think this setting, it being a third place game, I feel like Liquid probably feels like there's a lot more for them to win. FaZe, where everyone's expecting them to be the final, to be the winner of this tournament. I think it will probably be a factor here. It could actually be a factor in the veto as well. You could see someone like FaZe definitely going in and doing something that they normally wouldn't, just because of the setting of the game.
Well, speaking of the veto, why don't we go ahead and start that conversation, Duncan? I mean, we're going to be able to bring it up, and you can maybe help us comprehend it. I mean, FaZe have been notorious for banning Cobblestone and then playing any of the 6.
The only thing is, because of yesterday's match, where obviously, I mean, we see the Cobble ban here, because Mouse Sports did get 15-0'd on their team side,
yeah.
I think adding that in, I was kind of confident that FaZe would just say, let's just play maps we like. Now, the good thing is, obviously, we know that Mirage was a map that FaZe is amazing on. They can pick it right now if they want. They're going to go with a cheeky nuke pick. And part of the reason why is because Team Liquid is not a comfortable team on this map. They do not like it whatsoever. And I actually think if you're FaZe as well, maybe you're gambling that you could get Mirage as the third map. Because remember, what's left is Train, there's Overpass. Liquid doesn't like Overpass. So logically, Liquid has to ban Overpass. But actually, it's FaZe that bans it right here. Which means, in that scenario, here's the thing. I actually think at this point in time, Liquid should actually go into Mirage, because in theory, it's still a good map for them. They've been really good on Train recently, but I noticed because they didn't go into it against the SK, that's what makes me feel like instead, here, we're going to get to Mirage instead. So I do think that's quite a weird pick ban from Karrigan, though. Like, the fact that he's the one banning Overpass. I know it wasn't great yesterday. Like, it was a bit of a nightmare.
FaZe are notorious on it.
For me, it feels like, like I said before, this is the perfect setting for them to be preparing for the upcoming tournaments as well. They get to play Nuke, for example, in an actual matchup on land, right? So I think that it makes sense for them to be going for that. And then, Overpass, usually a map that they've actually, if you look at the big picture, you don't want to just look at yesterday. It's always been a map that they've always been very, 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 very good on. So they wanted to switch things up, and they're fine with playing Mirage, and then eventually ending up on What was the second map again? Yeah, Train.
No, it was Mirage.
Yeah,
The last
Mirage,
one.
yeah,
Mirage is the
Well,
last.
the reason why that's so surprising, though, is because that is essentially Carrigan saying, like, we're not going to play the maps that you thought we were, because it's actually normally Liquid that vetoes Overpass. In fact, sometimes they veto that first in the veto. So they had to come in thinking, well, we're definitely not playing that map unless they basically pick it against us first of all. In fact, they might have even thought that. If I'm Liquid, I might think, hey, they might just pick Overpass straight against us if we ban Cash, because that's the whole reason Liquid's banned Cash, because they're not good on that map. That's the map that they got beaten by Cloud9, even in their big final. So this is going to be one of those games where I feel like no one could have predicted these maps, especially not in this order. So if Carrigan wanted to just sow a bit of dissent, like put Team Liquid off a bit, make them not feel comfortable in whatever they're prepared, he's probably done a good job in that sense. And he is the one with the star aimers that can just play any map in theory.
Well, in theory, absolutely. But I mean, the simple fact of the matter is we just put the map statistics on your screen. In the last 3 months, we don't have a single game on Nuke documented, and there's very little for FaZe. So, I mean, this is completely unknown territory. Good luck analyzing this one, guys. So, expectations for Nuke, yeah. What's your favorite things that Liquid do on Nuke?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very green, isn't it? The changes have changed the meta of the map, obviously. First of all, I think it's actually a surprisingly big factor. There's obviously no window in the HUD. You don't have the outer catwalk anymore. You can't go around all the way from silo to the upper bomb site. You change it to the lower bomb site in terms of there's a new box near to the silo and the bomb site, and even the corridors have been changed a little bit. So a lot of things have changed in the map in terms of it's definitely not a pick from FaZe where they're saying, you know, this is 100%, we're comfortable on it. For me, it feels like a map pick where they think, okay, this is the perfect time for us to actually get to try this online against a solid team, and now we can get a feeler for the future on if it's something that we should be putting some effort
I think
into.
that's something else to consider is, like, remember, FaZe is going right, and they're thinking about trying to win Katowice next week, so why not play Nuke right now? And I might get a bit more experience on your feet. This game technically doesn't count in as much as you can't lose the championship because of it.
There
it's
is
actually a
prize
chance
money,
to get some official practice on the game without it just being a scrim, you know.
Something we hadn't quite considered, yeah, that's true. And as we do take a walk through the new Liquid roster, and we say new, of course, NAF, they're the newer addition to the squad. Steel was there as well, Nitro, Elige, and Twist, their coach Zeus, guiding through. And I hadn't considered, this is a really nice idea, the fact that you basically can't get practice like this when you're sitting at home.
Exactly, yeah.
You've got some on-stage, for money, official best-of-3 practice on some maps that you don't necessarily play as often.
And that's the key. The opponent has to play you properly. You know, they can't just go, oh, the game was going badly on Nuke, so we just sort of like gave up in that scrum. It's a real game.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that the players don't necessarily talk about always, but unfortunately, it's become so that also they treat like online official games as sort of practice as well.
Exactly, yes.
So this is even better. This is like
ideal.
Yeah, this is very ideal in terms of trying to get to see where they actually stand on the map.
Now, have you looked at the Nuke changes at all, Duncan? Have you got? I haven't had a chance.
I've only
to run
seen
around
them
the
a
map.
little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is going to be this game will be an opportunity for us to see it. But Natty, you said you've clearly outlined them. Have you played much Nuke?
I haven't played since the updates. The only times I've seen it when it was played here in this tournament. I mean, you can still definitely do like proper upper executes. The skylights still work. I think it becomes a factor of if you can time your utility really, really well in terms of flashes, you can still make it super hard for the CTs to actually hold upper. But again, if the CTs hold out of their mollies long enough, you know, then they're going to be able to block your attacks right away with the one single molly, basically. So it's still, I think, it's very hard for, like I said, I kind of did say the map is crap earlier this tournament, and I didn't even necessarily mean that it's crap per se, but what I mean is that you can't make it balanced. It will always be CT sided in my mind. I don't think that's necessarily an issue. I think, personally as a player back in the day, I loved the challenge that Nuke T side actually provided, because if you actually had a good T side, it was comfortable to be on the side, and you knew that we can make it happen. We can get those 6-7 rounds on the half, you know.
Guardian looks like that dog looking at those cupcakes, doesn't he? Like,
I'm so ready for this.
Used to be in Navi, going to be in the final. He doesn't really look great either, does he?
I think he's flirting with the camera.
You know,
Look at that. Oh God.
Look at those eyes. They are.
Do you want to play Nuke against me?
All of Mice is just fragging and body bagging, so we won't get to see his eyes. Is that the Boston Red Sox?
He always. It was
that his
always
lucky
that
hat,
one,
I
and then
think?
the old school day of Fnatic, it was, I think, the Redskins. I think it was
Yes,
the
that's
Redskins,
right,
classically,
yeah. That was his good luck charm he takes to the stage with him. But yeah, not only are we going into Nuke, but it does seem like we're going to be potentially seeing all three here. I think everyone's expectations are that this is not going to be a walk in the park for either side.
No, I think the veto especially throws it wide open, I think.
No, definitely. I mean, you can not say which way this Nuke map is going to go. You know, the side that gets to choose CT, if they win pistol and get a run with it, then you could easily see it going 14-1 either way, honestly. But on the other hand, all it takes is pistol win, maybe win the first weapon run, and it's a wide open game.
I mean, that was one of the most disappointing parts of that Liquid mouse game, wasn't it? You know, the fact that every map was so unbelievably either in one team's favor or the other. I'm trying to recall now. You've got a better memory than me, Duncan. Which were the maps where Liquid did the stomp in Cobblestone, right?
Yes, it was Cobblestone, and then they got pretty heavily beat on the first map, Mirage, which obviously is a map they play, and a map we're going to see in this series. And then the third map was, which one was that one? Was that Train? I think it might have been. And they got quite heavily beaten on that one as well, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was Train, yeah.
Okay, so they can keep that in mind then, that Liquid have been quite volatile with their
One factor I think that does
performances.
also make this a series that can go 3 maps as well is like not just is FaZe in theory going to be in a bit more of a chilled mood, you know, it's not like the killer instinct of the final necessarily, but people will forget this because Team Liquid's an NA team, but now that they've got NAF especially, this team's skill level is outrageous. It really is from top to bottom, really, really high. Remember, in theory in their team right now, like Nitro and Steel are the worst players. We know Nitro can have games where he can drop 30, and he can obviously take over with the ult now. NAF already, just game to game, is the best fragger in the team. And that means that essentially, you've got people like Twists and Delige who kind of just sometimes have to turn up. They used to have to straight carry the game to get those big wins in the past. So I think like from top to bottom, they've got a pretty nice lineup.
Yeah, indeed. We're going to go ahead and check it out then. Over on the stage, we have Zeus and Carrigan with Parma.
That is indeed correct, Alex. I'm here with Carrigan on my left from FaZe and Zeus, the coach for Liquid, on my right. I asked you why FaZe have picked nuke, and you didn't have a response before we went live.
I don't know. You better ask Carrigan here, man.
I think that is indeed the right thing to do. Carrigan, what's going on with the nuke pick?
You don't gamble vetoes against us.
Ooh, okay. Did you try to kind of like game the veto?
A little bit. I mean, Carrigan understands this game pretty well. We're in a nice situation here since we're not playing for the trophy here. It gives us a little bit of more breathing room to try some new stuff out.
You're still playing for 3rd place, you know. Does that keep you motivated, or in this, can you be a bit looser and try out new stuff?
I guess it takes a lot off the pressure, and I think I'm able to call on the fly a lot more and just put a lot of pressure on Liquid like we did in New York.
Yeah, and talking about those past results, it's always gone in favor of FaZe. So, Wilton, how do you approach this match?
Like any other match, FaZe has shown that they're not unbeatable. And, I mean, we can take maps off of them and even make maybe a series. Let's hopefully see how it goes.
All right, guys, final words to anybody watching in the crowd as well, or to each other.
I hope you will enjoy the game and enjoy the nuke.
Yeah, everyone enjoyed this nuke. I guarantee it's going to be one of the weirdest maps you'll ever see.
Well, guys, I am definitely up for seeing some weird Counter-Strike. Please do shake each other's hands and head back to your teams. Let's get this best of 3 underway.
Oh, I love it. One of the weirdest maps you're ever going to see. That certainly does sound like something I'm going to be enjoying. I mean, let's not forget that they did change the skylights. And you mentioned this, Natu, that, I mean, do the same nades work? Or if Liquid haven't done their homework, they're going to be struggling to do anything on
Yeah,
Teaser.
you have to have different lineup.
You do?
Yeah,
oh, God.
There's now like a vent up there that you have to
It's
throw
like
a
these
smoke
little-
through to get into the to heaven and stuff like that. So no, I mean it's something you can check out in a from a YouTube video probably.
They're probably
in
sitting
like
there
10
now,
minutes. So yeah,
tapping out like new smokes.
Listen, I mean, back in the day, I remember my team didn't used to play both Overpass and Cobblestone. My players hated those both maps, and we went to a tournament and we lost on Overpass very, very badly, and they went on to the next one. And I watched a week of Cobblestone while being on a broadcast in Romania, and I went to a tournament the weekend after and told my guys, all right, I got Cobblestone covered. I watched it for a week now.
I've essentially done a week of homework.
Yeah, I went to a game against a team that was really good on Cobblestone and beat them 16-6, so anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Okay, so basically what you're telling us, me and Duncan, is that we should by now be able to be gods at all 7 maps, right? We've watched so much Counter-Strike.
I agree.
You ready?
You should.
Yeah, let's get in the server, Duncan. Let's do it.
Not a big a deal.
We've got all the strats, all the smokes, I promise. All right then, let's go to delve a little deeper into nuke. They removed that window, which we was... How many how many frags do you see from both sides, both
Yep,
from, on
exactly,
T side and CT side? They hold it from way back out in yard. It's just gone.
And plus, one of the key elements to that was it's totally changed the way you play that door, because the key with the door was you had to line up through the door if the guy comes out or if he goes into the hut. So that made it more tricky. That's why you couldn't just freely go and throw out that window, because you had to check both sides, basically. So that's exactly what Natu's saying, is like you can never, as the map designer, know how you're going to change the meta. Because you might think to yourself, right, well, I've made it better for the terrorists there. They can run into the hut. Someone can't shoot from behind. Sure, now there's only one way out of the hut, though. So now, for example, if I have a guy watching the hut, I can watch it from one side. I don't have to watch it from the other. So I'm not even saying that like that shifts it to the CTs. I actually don't know which way that works. But unfortunately, with the way the game has worked traditionally on this map, usually the CTs will figure everything out to somehow benefit them.
Sure.
Not always 100%, but the best example obviously being that secret entrance. That's supposed to help all the terrorists get to the bottom bomb site all the time, but it's so often you see a guy creep up behind and get a couple of key kills in the back that weren't possible on the old version. So I do think there's a lot of room for innovation on this map. The big problem here is at least FaZe has played it a bit and perhaps knows some of the details, because I imagine they practiced it in case a mouse spots or anything like that ended up playing them. The difference is, for Team Liquid, they really do, no joke, have to kind of
He's
come up
literally
with
showing
this on
him
the
a
fly.
smoke.
Yeah, they're going to have to just kind of, I think actually, if anything, they're probably just going to have to try and frag. They're just going to have to think, right, we'll just take simple spots, try and take outside a lot, try and just take duels. I don't think they can, I don't think you can really put together a smoke in the last seconds before you play the game,
For me as a player, I thought it was like one of the greatest things about Counter-Strike was the fact that it was a bit of a game of cat and mouse in terms of CT and T, right? So first the CTs would come up with a way to defend a certain part of the map, and you'd struggle, but then you'd figure out how do we counter that, right? Sure. And then again, they'd find something else, and again, you find a counter. But then when you put all those together, you kind of have to get a feeler of what exactly are they doing, so you have to find the right counter to that. I think that's one of the greatest things for myself as a Counter-Strike player when it comes to the tactical aspect of the game. It's just being able to like throw so many different things, and then you have to be able to think on your feet straight away on how do we counter this.
Yeah, and I mean, the game as a whole as well, because it's had such a long lifespan. What's so interesting is it does seem quite cyclical in strategy as well, to the point where I think it was Henry casting at one point, and he said, "Hang on, I haven't seen that smoke for a couple of years now." It was like Taka was throwing that the smoke on the T side of ramp on Mirage. He was smoking it just in front by Tetris, just so he could get out and clear that first corner, and then they would work through that smoke. And I was like, how crazy is it that it's got to the point now where CTs are no longer ready for it, and now he can start doing it again? It's just this constant,
full circle, hey?
Yeah, dog chasing his tail.
But yeah, I mean, Nuke, it definitely...
The changes seem minor.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of are.
Apart from that window.
Yeah, sure. And like I said, you can definitely execute the upper bomb side. I think it's just...
Well, one detail that we haven't mentioned is there is that box in the lower site, which you can now basically, like, if you hide behind, most people are trained, there's not normally a box there, so they would never think to look there normally. I do think, I've only seen it happen a couple of times because it hasn't been played much in this tournament, but that actually definitely has a lot of potential if you know the map. Like, you could probably win a few rounds for free on that with a bomb plant, like, just for killing him when he puts the bomb down.
Sure. One thing we've seen a little bit here is shift of focus from outer to the ramp side of things, because a lot of CT sides are actually willing to give you ramp. If you apply pressure, they'll have a player rotate all the way down to the lower bomb side. Heaven guy will come then to just hold and make sure no one's pushing Heaven, right? So what that means then that you can maybe do like this early smokes and send someone down to the vent and try to be a bit of a issue there for the CTs, and then you try to take over ramp, you try to split that lower bomb site. So there's still a lot of options for you to be able to make things happen. And if one of the key factors to Nuke is trying to read the rotations of the CTs and understand what do they like to do in certain things. Like if you do the yard smokes, how do they react? What is the reaction do you get from them? Is it someone coming to the secret stairs to try and make a play? If that's so, you can try and bait him out and make that kill happen, right? And then obviously you're only planning as 4 CTs at that point in time, so it'll be much easier to take the ramp, for example, afterwards, because you know there's only going to be one player around that area, and then you can make it in the lower bomb side. So that's a very fundamental part of playing Nuke side.
And that is if the CTs are moving coherently and as if they know the map. Let's not forget, this has been promised to be some weird Counter-Strike from Zeus.
Well, this is one of the things I have my concerns about with Team Liquid, is if they haven't played the map, especially because they haven't played it online, I doubt they scrim it really, because most of the teams wouldn't pick it against them. I want to see, for example, if Nitro or if NAF has an AWP, what are they going to do? Because it's already a hard map anyway to play as an AWPer, but as a result, you've got to know every little angle and where you fall back and where the flash can come from. So if you don't know that sort of stuff, if I'm Karrigan, I'm playing up-tempo against these guys. Send out 2 or 3 rifle guys, make it tough, put pressure on them.
If we see an AWP on the hands of the T side in the first 4 rounds of the game, you got to be worried for that team because you're already digging deep in terms of tactics. Because usually that's very much the backup plan to have an AWP on nuke on the T side because it's just not very viable, is it? We saw Simple, I think, getting 2 kills with AWP in their game on nuke, for example. So it's kind of telling that it's not a map that favors the weapon whatsoever.
Especially if you're playing up tempo like FaZe. Yeah, no need. Just get the rifles in their hands and see how it does play out. The knife round is imminent, and therefore we're just going to go ahead and quickly cover the dirty stuff. Predictions, expectations for the series. You know what? We are supposed to do that.
What's a harmless joke?
let's do predictions, and while we do that, you can see
it's important that we do some sponsor shout-outs, like CS Money, because otherwise we might not have future or success, and we might just be left with skins.
CS Money, one of our sponsors here, a barter website to trade your skins. LootBet, of course, you can check them out there. They're giving us the odds and giving FaZe quite a clear edge.
Yeah. I think on this one, it is a pretty clear edge for FaZe. I will say, I don't think they've ever been an amazing nuke team, but they've definitely been competent on it, especially if you know you're playing a team that's weak on it. I think you can definitely apply a lot of pressure. You can abuse them in that sense. I would expect FaZe to win this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a hard map to go into without having experience on it. Like I said, even the CT side, while it is a very CT-sided map, it still needs a lot of work to be able to rotate appropriately and make sure that things are working out in that sense. But let alone then going into the T side, you know, you need to be able to dig a couple rounds here and there to make it competitive. So
plus think about that as well. That means also the pressure for Liquid to have a good CT side is even bigger.
Sure. But then again, it's a game where neither team is going to have a lot of pressure. How do these teams handle that? Is that going to be a great thing or is that going to be a bad thing? So I can see a world where it is a positive thing for Liquid.
Yes.
Younger guys, you know, little less experience than the FaZe Clan guys, obviously, and FaZe Clan always expected to win a tournament. So you can see a world where Liquid actually would be the favorite team here. But
I think
looking at the numbers, obviously FaZe is going to be the front runner.
I would not be surprised to see Liquid take this one. You know, we wouldn't have, none of us, in fact, expected Na'Vi to be sitting in that grand final over FaZe, and I can see a similar situation going down here. Liquid have been looking fantastic, certainly in the fragging department, and now they walk into a very important knife round, actually.
Exactly, this is one of the few ones where you actually do want to win it really, really bad.
This is, you can see it taking a little less.
I think they'll be starting CT side. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that.
It's a safe guess. I don't know. Some teams do like to go ahead and try and just get that T side out of the way.
I've said this before. There's a world where some teams have this idea. We used to have it where we want to start on the harder side, but I'm not sure if it applies for this situation though, because you've not played nuke in official game, let alone have you even practiced it. So you probably do want to have thesis at first.
Lord only knows what's going on in this huddle right now. Just remember, guys, we get paid $18,000 a month. Pretend like you care. Put your back into it. Nico, come on. Guardian, nice of you to turn up today.
No huddle from Liquid either. They're just...
Not one of those players who likes to enhance the noise cancelling by putting something between the headset and his ear. If anything, he's just doing us all a favour, right?
Yeah,
the taco rule, I call it.
What, is it Naf, the one that said he's kind of half deaf?
He has I think he said he had like 20% hearing in one ear or something like that.
How does he play a game so reliant on sound and so well? That blows my mind.
Must just be even sicker at the game, right?
Yeah, imagine if they get some sort of sick hearing restoration, he becomes the world's best player. Clear. That doesn't seem to be any problem though. I think we spoke to the Liquid manager, and he was like, yeah, it doesn't make any difference really in terms of how he reacts to sound. So he seems to have got that on.
Well, there's a Finnish player that called Gigatos, who used to be in 1.6, very good player. He was in playing with Lurpus and those guys back in the day. He plays with his headset.
This is such a funny story. I remember this. Yeah, because he did it the first time and just got used to it.
Still does it.
Blows my mind. Anyway, guys, it's been a pleasure. We're going to go jump into what promises to be quite the chaotic Counter-Strike. We're going into Nuke, and your casters are locked and loaded as well.
Third best casters.
Duncan was having a real death segment, wasn't he?
Yeah,
having a good time.
He came fired up this morning. Yeah. It's nice for him to see him get dressed up for third place decider game.
Yeah, I like
Tuxedo
that.
and everything.
Putting real effort into it. Somebody has to, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the most realistic work he's done in the past few months, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, you know, you don't know when it's gonna happen, but you know he's gonna turn up at least one segment.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
Absolutely.
Liquid and FaZe for a third place decider, Moses.
Yeah, bronze medal.
I'm excited.
In Olympic speak. Yeah, we've been talking about how we wanted to see Nuke pretty much all week. So I'm happy we finally get to. And I think that's the cool thing. I think they brought up the point on the desk and on the stage, obviously in the interviews, you do get to experiment a little bit more, test some things in this kind of a match.
Yeah, I think Nuke is just a completely misunderstood map. I think people who don't like it just don't understand it. That's my theory. I even put a whole video out about it, trying to explain to people how Nuke works and why it's fun to watch and why you should care more about it.
How much traction did that video get?
It was better received than I thought. I thought people would just call me an idiot. And I always expect that, but not this time.
Well, here we go. Starting on the defense. It's American Brawn powered by Brazilian Brain. It's Team Liquid! And on the offense, the super team to end all super teams. It's FaZe Clan.
Man, I feel ready now, Moses. FaZe going to be on the T side, and with that one smoke on Carrigan, it means it's going to be really quick. He does also have P250, which makes me think he's going to maybe want to try and snipe somebody long range with the USP. They're rushing straight into the hut and out to the A site. Already getting locked out of it. Twist, ridiculously 4 headshots, shutting down all of FaZe Clan. Where is your super team now, Moses? Quad kill for him, looking for the pistol ace. All headshots, he's going to get it. You've got to be kidding me, Twist. Shutting down the whole FaZe side. That is outrageous.
And he looked so hyped up at the end of that play in his camera. That is such an incredible performance. That's so hard to do on those upper rushes because the desk talked about as well. Apply pressure, be up-tempo, be fast-paced. And if you don't hit shots immediately, you just die. So if he doesn't get those 3-4 kills that quickly with his first magazine, his first clip, I mean, it's just all over. This is a great end as well, looking for the ace.
That is just too much, isn't it? I'm shocked as well because they had a flashbang, right? So he must have just turned at the right moment. Carrigan obviously angry at that last round. Going to be hitting one good shot, but the grenade will shut him down. And they do have both pistol and armor here on the FaZe side. No bomb plant, obviously.
Yeah, they do, and they're looking for more kills than what they've got so far. Nico, still a danger, and Olaf is going to be taken out by Steel, so this is quite a nice round for Team Liquid. 4 players surviving as Elige ends it. An opening shot from Carrigan is quite nice, but that's all they're able to get. No more space outside, and I think that's kind of the critical part of this map. Since we don't get to see it too much, we can kind of cover over this. That outside portion of Nuke is so important, and I think the big thing to notice on teams that understand how to play this is how fast the rotations are, or like the different rotations that are utilized to defend that lower bomb site, that staircase outside, because there's going to be rounds, like you just can't have a whole CT side where you never lose outside. So it's always interesting to see how the CT teams respond to that loss of the important part of the map.
Yeah, it really is, and I always like watching for just that thing. They all run into Nafly and that MP9 chews up almost the entire team. So that was just sort of a throwaway round for FaZe. Maybe they were hoping to run down the vent and get the bomb plant down. People do that sometimes, but not this time. So that's 3 rounds in a row quick here for Liquid.
Yes, very, very fast. And now that op coming out on Nitro for the CT side.
People always talk about whether or not we should even have third-place deciders, and whatever you think about it, I think now that it's happening, I actually think it could be a bit dangerous for FaZe to not try and play this game seriously, or not try and put everything into it, because, yeah, you don't want to give Liquid that bonus confidence in later tournaments.
Oh, that's so sick from FaZe. They're already coming to this inner bomb site. It's split. Twist is still up in the rafters, but surely he can't do it twice. There's the first and trying to go for more. Can't handle the angle. Great frags coming in, and that's exactly what the desk talked about. That op outside, Nitro, not ready for that whatsoever.
Wow.
FaZe does a cool trick, though. They throw that wall of smokes, right, to get towards lower, so it looks like they're going to do that kind of lower execute. So Nitro's not worried whatsoever, because he says they're going to run behind the smokes and get to the staircase. They actually go in front of it and throw him off completely. He was looking to toss some Molotov behind the smokes, do something sneaky, do something tricky, and just gets beat up.
Yeah, and one thing he actually wants to do when that wall is up is try and listen for how many people are on the other side, right? It's a pretty big difference if it's like, 5 people running past the wall or just 2, and you can sort of hear that if you're close enough, but obviously he got duped. So, really good stuff. Elige now going to be pushing up, and Nitro will take the kill on Rain in spite of the fact that there was smoke everywhere. And now he's scoped up for the top of that silo. Now they're pushing in through the hut. Nico going to be taking down Twist, so that's a good opening frag, but Elige is going to get Carrigan. The bomb might be planted here, although Naf is still hiding at the edge of the smoke, and Oliver's just not ready for it. Jumping with his knife out. Easy takedown there as Nico is going to be alone in the back of the bomb site with almost no chance at all. Naf will take him down. and Liquid bounce right back.
Yeah, that's a very nice recovery. Obviously, the opening pick from Nitro is quite good, and then Naf using the smoke that is thrown by FaZe as kind of an extra piece of cover for him. No one suspected it whatsoever. Thought they might have heard him trying to jump up. But well handled, and it is a pretty fast-paced start to this T side. I mean, that round was obviously more subdued and slowed down than the previous with that outside rush, but they still hit the upper bomb site very, very quick. And because of such a dominating victory in that 4th round, Rifles are still on the board with good nades on the FaZe side.
Definitely those are important on nuke. The most classic nade that we can think of here probably works on both sides, but it's that smoke for the B-bomb side. We always end up talking about it, and whether you're planting or defusing, you really want to be able to cover yourself, because that B-bomb side is so incredibly open. Twist getting that first kill on Olofmeister, going to be good news in favor of Liquid here as we move into the 6th round. Funny to see how Guardian is going to play the other AWP. I look forward to that.
Yeah, it could be a very critical weapon in the grand scheme of things on this map, depending on how they're able to take outside, if they can get the AWP away from Nitro. There's so many different angles for the CT side AWPer, and Guardian jumps across and spots him, goes for the peek, and that's very nice. Nothing to block off Nitro. Liege popping up the stairs at a great timing. Catches Rain off guard. Now, this is unlike most of the other maps we have in the pool, and where it can end up being a very dominant CT side. If, you know, that play from Olaf, if Guardian with the AWP outside, if you're a T side that can't find success in some of those picks, then all of a sudden your options on this really, really dwindle. So this could end up looking like a very one-sided half for Team Liquid, but it's one of those things where you can't worry too much because the same thing can happen when they flip.
Yep, and that's something as a team you have to be prepared for, though. That's one of the reasons
it's very
why...
mentally taxing, isn't it?
It really is, and it's one of the reasons I think why nuke is different to play in general, right? That's why I actually like seeing it, because it does test teams in different ways. You have to accept the fact that you might lose 10 rounds in a row, but as long as you can keep getting kills in all those 10 rounds, there's always a chance that you can win 2 consecutive rounds, and then you're back in the game.
Yep.
It happens quickly, right? So you have to keep sort of the whole team prepped for that one moment where it happens, and then you've got to be ready. So definitely, it is tough. It's definitely not easy to play on T-side nuke.
One of the things we should notice for future rounds, because this is going to be another, not necessarily a throwaway, but FaZe doesn't have a whole lot of tools in it to cause too much damage. In that, I think it was the 5th round after FaZe had won one, that pick from Nitro outside, Alish pushed up through the smoke outside, and here's a good drop, a nice timing, a good trade. They can have an entrance into that bomb site. The AK-47 is picked up by Nico, but Steel is going to try and hold things out and miss initial shot, and he's got too many targets. They're making progress. Not really a throwaway round anymore. It's a 2-on-2 in Liege. He came in to end things with the SMG.
That was a very silly peek from Steel. I mean, he was so wide. He was exposed to, well, both Squeak Door and Main, or Mini, and he also... He's just no cover at all.
Those, as a defender, as someone who has defended the upper bomb site, it can sometimes be a nightmare to be that player, to be Steel in that scenario, because if they do have those fast-paced tactics coming out and being successful, and all of a sudden you have one teammate dropped, you can get stuck in very awkward positions, and sometimes you only have like a half second to kind of respond and get the good positioning, and I think that one Steel's just caught in a misplay.
It's a massive win for FaZe in that round. Again, keeping the economy low is paramount to having a chance here on T-side. 6-1 is the scoreline right now, so good lead for Liquid. And Rain setting up for that classic Molotov towards the top of hut. Still sort of works.
Yeah, let's see how this goes. Straight up upper execute. Liege has the angle for the door. That's an easy kill. Kerrigan, he's not able to be traded out. He's going to enter into the bomb site. Those are 2 big kills for him, and Nitro up top getting involved in the action. Kerrigan's brought down very low.
Still no bomb plant. 3-on-3, and they don't have any more grenades. This is where you'd love to have a grenade for upper just to keep Nitro out of it. One smoke here, and he's almost irrelevant. Steel going to get 1 kill, but Nico with a refrag. And Nico's got 100 health. Nitro pushing in right now is just going to be incredibly difficult, and they've planted the bomb in such a great position that it's almost impossible for Nitro to get this defuse. Now he's committed. Jumping down, picking up the AK-47, hoping for something, maybe trying to bait them out. There's Kerrigan going down. Now they at least know he has the AK. Nico dodging the corner, just shoulder peeking him, and he's running out of time swiftly. That's a lot of damage. He's on the bomb again. Nico patiently waiting this time. He is going to go down, but not in time for Nitro to get the defuse in. So nice triple for Nitro, but still a huge win there for FaZe.
It is, but they lose all 5 players, so at the end of it, that's pretty damn good from Nitro to be able to take those away. Even salvages AWP and survives the blast.
And lucky for them, Elise could actually buy 2 M4s.
Yep.
So that's huge.
I mean, that goes back to some of those rounds where there was a couple where they got low on player count, but they kept a lot alive frequently. And out of a win, Rain is going to have to go to the MAC-10, and Olaf going to have to go to a UMP. Not ideal, and that's why you look at those remaining kills, or the last couple kills for Nitro at the end, tapping that bomb, and say those could end up being very, very important. FaZe not able to string 2 together still. Here's Rain with that MAC-10, somehow going to make it down for free. I think Nitro might have spotted him, but Steel's about to be under a lot of pressure in this ramp room. It looks like a split's coming in, jumping through the smoke. Good kill from Naf to hold stairs. And Steel playing it passively, and Nitro gets 1 more kill. He's rotated over, and this is where it can get so confusing for T-sides, because if you have ramp room, where do you go from here after losing 2 players?
Yeah, that's definitely not clear. I mean, getting ramp is only, you're not even halfway there when you've got ramp room. There are going to be a ton of rounds where you can get this part of the map and as you said, just get locked in.
And this is why this part of the map largely gets, a little bit less love on the T side, is because when it feels like it should be such a critical portion of the map to take over, but you can't do anything. Look at how easy it is for the defense to just fall back and not really take damage.
Likewise, especially on, well, not this version nuke, but the previous one, when it was sort of remade into this one in Global Offensive, so many CT sides forgot that you don't have to give your life to defend ramp. You can just fall back. Yeah, people just sort of stuck there and died for no reason at all. Also, as you pointed out, Nitro spotted the jump down with that MP9 or MP7 at the into the lower.
Stairs,
yeah, and that's why NAF was so ready for it. So that communication between the AWP player outside and NAF on the stairwell is super important. That's the kind of stuff you want to see on the defense. Closing the door like a gentleman, but Olafmeister still killed him. That's
yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, it's uncalled for.
He's not going to be invited to the next dinner party.
Definitely not. 7-2 Moses.
And another reset.
And another reset. And even worse, around where Liquid don't lose any players. Or any with just the 1.
Here's the mental thing as well. This is why the T-side can be so tough, is even if FaZe did have success in ramp room, even if they got like that 1 kill on a Steel before he dropped and maybe didn't take a kill to Nitro, whatever might be happening. Maybe they're in a 4-on-4 and they're going to the lower bomb site. With the buy they had, they don't have utility to really plant the bomb downstairs. It takes like 2 or 3 smokes sometimes to actually successfully and safely get the bomb planted. Steel's going to go for some deathmatch. Nade is out, does good damage onto Rain. They're going to fall away. A second nade comes in, and Steel wants to get more. Not able to find it just yet, but good utility being used, just being safe, and he finds a third through the smoke.
Yeah, and all going down in that trophy room. Not a good time for FaZe right now. I think they found at least one thing so far that works, which is going sort of fast in through mini and hitting that A-bomb site. That seems to have been successful.
We'll see if it works again. Sometimes those things, they can get cleaned out. I mean, Liquid has some presence outside. Nitro's usually out there with the AWP. The benefit of going fast like that and trying to drop in the mini is you don't expose yourself to the angle of the AWP too frequently, unless he's playing it obviously aggressively in warehouse or behind the red box outside. So sometimes you can get away with one.
This was sort of a semi-buy coming out of FaZe, so they can't buy in this round either. They've got somebody to work with next time, but that is going to give Liquid a huge monetary lead, and that's really, really important. That's something that is going to come back to haunt FaZe later on, because now they need to win back-to-back rounds.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Liquid has that buffer we've mentioned a couple times. Coming through the smoke, going right back at Steel. That's a good trade as they come through. Twist is now coming over. He's got to be careful how he takes this. There is an M4 that's been recovered by Nico. He's got the angle, but a good adjustment. No armor on Nico as well. Tough battle to win. And with Nitro here as well, they can get more aggressive. He eats a dink and another trade from Olaf. And this is all good stuff for FaZe if he can get anything else.
Yes, it is. I'd say Liquid probably didn't have to fight quite as hard. Got to be careful. I mean, I think
feeling confident.
Feeling confident, yes. But I'm just always worried about that CT economy on CT side nuke, especially on nuke. Like it's always going to matter, but I just feel like you could get punished so hard for it later on. We are nearing the last portion of this half, so 12th round is coming up now. Guardian back with the AWP. We didn't really get a chance. He got shut down by Nitro that one time over by the red box in Yard.
Yep.
We'll see if it could be different now. Lots of chances to play AWP on nuke.
Yes, but it can be so difficult. And you can see on the board, Guardian's only got 1 kill as well, so obviously not feeling this game too much. Liquid switching up their initial stance of defense. Triple nade outside behind the smoke, trying to catch a player from FaZe, cheating too close to it. Not going to happen. And Nitro is going to be out there. He's in that position in the warehouse behind the box, peering up towards Twinkie. I think we used to call it a silo. Would work. Doesn't really look like a Twinkie anymore.
Not really, Moses, but we'll hold on to it. I'm fine with it.
Make you hungry?
I actually don't like Twinkies, oddly enough. And I know you'd think so, but good flashbang over the red box, but or the red container. But a nice return kill from Guardian. Nitro not willing to take the random shot through, and fair enough. Success rate is probably kind of low. That's going to get a lot of people down, and Kerrigan with the perfect timing. Nitro was just checking that. Naf is going to be going down to Guardian. 2 versus 4, so you get into this kind of lead, you can't really lose the round if you're on the T side. That would be a disaster. Nico taking down Twist, and Steel just not able to get into position this round.
Yeah, just a couple frags go the way of FaZe, and it can be so hard to cover the gaps if you mis-rotate. Guardian, plenty of time and plenty of space outside to wait for someone to go for information, some kind of peek, and Nitro obviously getting caught off guard by a late lurk on top of the roof. Sometimes as that AWPer outside, it's just better to give up the control and just fall all the way back. Wasn't able to pull that off. So it will be a third for FaZe, but as you said, they need to win 2 in a row. And at the end here, if they can somehow script together, 5, 6 rounds, if they can force the reset, I think there's going to be one more buy for Team Liquid. That would be actually huge. For a largely desperate and unsuccessful half, FaZe still has a chance here to get some good rounds on the board.
Interestingly, Moses, that the flashbang that Nitro throws for the peek out of Secret, when he's holding the AWP with that angle, you can actually shoot right through the red container. It's paper thin.
I don't know what I expected you to say. I didn't think it was going to be another spam coming out.
People don't know this. It's because it's hollow. So you're really just shooting through sort of like 2 metal plates. You're not shooting through the an entire block of metal. So there is a bit of a difference there. Worth knowing these little things sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Molotovs, nades, and all the choke points. Guardian, one of the clever and pretty cool places to find a pick on this map for AWPers is over towards that squeaky door. You can blow it open, shoot a hole in it, or if you just have a teammate open it up. Guardians here with that AWP, and look at this time quietly around those smokes. A couple players making their way through to the stairs. Good kill from Twist. He's pushed into hut. Behind a smoke, and there's the peak. Guardian takes him down, but it's a lobby crunch. So the defense getting aggressive, able to find 2 kills, but they have lost the lower bomb site.
That was a beautiful Molotov for Guardian. He set that kill up himself and just took it down. That was really well done. Rain and Olof now, 2 versus 4. They're going to get the bomb plant, yes, but they are going to be in a lot of trouble here. The retake should be very powerful for Liquid, although 3 of them are coming in from the same angle. Olof not getting the first shot. That reveals his position. There's going to be one looking for more. A big double kill. Might have given Rain a chance here in the 1 versus 2. He's stuck behind that new box that has just been put up on the bomb site. They're both going to be coming in from the door, and he just can't get the headshot immediately. Liege will take him down instead for a triple kill, and it will be another round for Liquid here. 10-3. That's such a shame for FaZe, because if they had won this round, that would put a lot of pressure on the Liquid economy. But now they're right back in it, so...
Yeah, but again, I mean, the previous round that FaZe had won was with 4 players surviving, and with that plant and that extra $800, going to give them plenty of money for this next one, so they're not out of it. Still a chance for FaZe. That's not a bad put-together round for FaZe, but obviously that lobby crunch from Team Liquid came in at a really opportune moment when Guardian was slow playing inside with the AWP and wasn't prepared for it whatsoever.
Yeah, I have a rule, especially in matchmaking, but I think it fits in most cases. If you are going to occupy lobby on the T side, you must have 3 people or more there. If it's only 1 or 2, there is a chance that will happen, and there's absolutely no way you can hold all 3 angles, because it's Squeak, it's Hut, and it's obviously the trophy room or radio room if you prefer, and it's just you are essentially just it's a bit of a maze in here, so you don't want to do that. So either don't hold it defensively with 1 person, that's fine, but if you are going to commit to walking into lobby, then have more people there.
We see a lot of teams use just like 1 lurker in lobby, and it's kind of tough to come up with too many examples just because of how infrequent this map is played. But I know, for instance, Rops does it on the T side for Mouse Sports when we've seen them play. He's very, very good at it. I've seen NBK at times do it for G2. I'm not sure if they've switched anything up recently.
We'll see. Looks like they are pushing outside. That smoke had a bit of a gap in it. Very hard to smoke the width of the garage, and Elige will get Rain killed. That's another one on Nico. Kind of falling apart in this round for FaZe. Not making much progress at all here on the T side. Olofmeister goes down. Guardian next in line. Elige being a real monster out in this yard.
FaZe hasn't even done any damage in this round. Naf's at 96 HP, and that's probably just from like falling or some weird nade damage. It's been a great half for Team Liquid. It's tough to call with how little we've seen these teams play on it. That graphic showed FaZe with 2 games. They won 1 and they lost 1 to Mouse Sports, and Team Liquid, this lineup, hadn't played any games on Nuke. So it's hard to tell if it's more Team Liquid being comfortable, more comfortable than probably people expected, or FaZe is just that uncomfortable with it. But in previous iterations, this FaZe team was actually pretty good on Nuke. It wasn't a map that they were like blowing anyone away on, but they were competitive with it against some very good teams.
Yeah, and they've had a tough time, which is might be surprising, especially because some of the rounds did look very clean, but then they just couldn't really recreate them. Now they're rushing out of Squeak, and there was no Molotov to stop them, even though there could have been a bit of a misstep. Twist and Nitro, though, will pick it up in return, and Karrigan and Guardian now 2 versus 4. Karrigan going to be sneaking in. He did spot the 1 player, but as he walks around the corner, there's going to be 2 peeking him at different angles. So very difficult to win any of those fights. Guardian going to be looking for a headshot. He can't get it against Twist, who picks up another quad kill. And that about summarizes the feeling on FaZe right there.
Well, Twist started things off with an ace in the Vista round, and he ends on 16 kills. So is Elige and Nitro. Just phenomenal individual effort. If you go over the other side, 3 guys you expect to be having solid games. Olaf at 5 kills, Guardian at 4, Rain at 3.
This is great. The whole pattern for the first half was Liquid winning 3, then losing, then winning 3. Like every single time, that's what happened. And that's the worst thing that could possibly happen if you're FaZe. You have to string the rounds together so that they're forced to eco.
And this is another map kind of a little bit like Inferno, where if you're a CT team that has economic issues, it's not easy to recover in those situations. So never really forced into it was Team Liquid. That's nice. But we mentioned at the start of this half, it can get this way, right?
Yeah.
So for FaZe, the big thing you switch over to is they can do the same exact thing, and it will look just as weird and sloppy for Team Liquid if it happens. But certainly for FaZe, you have to win that pistol round. You have to get started right off the bat.
Yeah, that's the mental test now for FaZe, and obviously even
by the way, something they've struggled with.
Yeah.
When dropping the major finals to Cloud9, now dropping to Na'Vi, they have shown some mental weaknesses in the high pressure game.
Yeah, which is kind of shocking when you've got this many high level players on your side.
Yeah.
Don't want to see that. Crowd excited. Obviously, Na'Vi going to be playing in the grand finals. That is really good timing, isn't it?
I was talking to some of the Starlighter guys, and they said this was like the opening like Na'Vi like training facility like back in the day. They actually have like the Natus Vincere like trophy case in here somewhere. I kind of want to go see that before I leave. Little piece of Counter-Strike history.
Yeah, join you for that one. Olofmeister in position for a single headshot. He can fall back pretty quickly if need be. It looks like they do want to try and see if they can push this ramp, but there is no more pressure outside, so eventually FaZe might be able to rotate into position. Naf playing with the door for a little second there, but Guardian's going to be calling it in. This smoke is for Heaven over by the stairs or by the ladder. Oh, but he forgot to break the window first. That might be a bit of a mistake. Supposed to do that first, otherwise it doesn't really go all the way through. Falling back down as Olofmeister as they do rotate all the way around and going to be coming up the ladder, trying to see if they can make it work. Rain goes down immediately. Elige next with a kill on Guardian. Karrigan is going to be dropped, and Nafly with a big double kill, taking down Nico, leaving Olofmeister.
That's mental that was so incredibly successful. Olaf not able to get any kills here at the end either. But I was watching the other 3 players from FaZe, not Olofmeister. They had 3 players in upper that whole round, and no one rotated to lower as if it was going to be a lower attack, which is good because it wasn't. But the fact that you have 3 players in upper, that's where they attack coming up a ladder, and you have no success, that's worrying.
I'm really wondering if that smoke was intentionally misthrown. Because here's the thing. No, but here's the thing. If you throw that smoke correctly, then the player who's playing at the top of ladder will actually be forced to wait behind it, and then you're going to come up the ladder, and he's just going to be there waiting for you. Now, if you misthrow it, he might be thinking, they're coming out of hut because that's why they throw the smoke. And then he's looking that way, and the next thing that Elige or Twist or whoever it was that threw it does is throw a flashbang in behind it.
Yeah.
So now he's staring at the flashbang while people are coming up the ladder. I'm not saying it has to be that way, but there is actually a rationale that you could make for baiting that shot out and for just having him peek into the bomb site and not worrying about the ladder.
I think we've gone too far.
Gone too deep, Moses?
We've gone to not with that one, but like ever since the conversation about, you know, was it Astralis or SK that came out first and said they intentionally missed the window smoke to get someone to peek?
Sure, yeah.
I think ever since that kind of comment, now it's the tinfoil hats on every time there's a miss smoke.
I do have...
And you are
I have a really thick tinfoil hat,
I was going to
Moses.
say, you are the tinfoil hat original team leader.
I don't need the NSA to read all of my thoughts. Not least for their sake, Moses.
They get everything they need off your phone. Anders.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I'm going to ask them later. I have to find out. I'll tweet about it. I'll find out for you guys. 13-3 is the scoreline, the 17th round. And Nico here with the Deagle out in the yard. Looking for it, obviously losing that round. Not going to be too good for FaZe. They're going to be incredibly upset, in fact, as they are maybe going to get closed out of map number 1 with no chance to really do anything.
Yeah, they've been slow to start. Here's a lobby crunch, and Guardian and Rain pushing up. And there's, you know, they followed your rule, Anders. It still doesn't work. One player in lobby playing it passively. He was pretty deep in, but not trying to force any issues. But the upper bomb site is very exposed for FaZe. It's Guardian over towards the door. They know exactly where he is. Even with that win with the CZ, he's not going to be able to get away. Shut down. Khalil goes right through that paper-thin door.
Yeah, he even closed it. Just didn't even care. Olafmeister going to get killed walking through the smoke out of hut. And that will leave Carrigan just out here looking at the hazmat suits and trying to see if he could parkour his way. Oh, no.
That's an awkward jump.
Yeah, he's not happy at all.
He's a little happy. He's smiling. Laughing at himself a little bit. FaZe.
By the way,
yeah,
the reason you want sort of more than 2 or 3 rounds on your T side of nuke is so that you can afford to lose the pistol and still be in the game. Like, that is literally the rationale for doing it. So the fact that they only got 3 rounds means, as you can tell, that it's going to be 15-3 by the time they can buy, and then they have to make a flawless victory back. Now, they can do that. That's the scary thing. They can make the 11-round comeback and or the 12-round comeback and make it work, but it's obviously a little bit more stressful when you don't have any buffer at all.
Yeah, that's really the pain that always has been with nuke. Even like way back in the early days of CS:GO when this map was way more popular, wasn't uncommon to see the 13-2 or 14-1 halves, and then you just put so much emphasis on the pistol. So perhaps no more round in Counter-Strike has more pressure on it than just the straight-up CT pistol on nuke, because it just can sometimes decide games, just that one pistol round.
Intro making this look very crisp with the Galil. Fighting on the outside, tapping away as they are getting rudely interrupted by Steel, who wasn't doing... Nitro was having sort of gentlemanly fight, just, you know, clicking, and then Steel just rolling in there. Oh.
He's got a Mac-10. You can't exactly tap with that weapon, can you?
Doesn't feel like it's supposed to work that way. Elish will clean it up, and that is the end of the round. 15-3, and FaZe looking for a straight 12-round comeback. Classic new Moses.
Yeah.
I love it.
Can they do it?
Of course they can.
What are the odds? Well, I know it's in the realm of possibility.
I'm going to give them a good 50% chance that they make this comeback, Moses.
You're mentally insane. You've lost your mind.
You say that now, but it gets so much worse. We haven't even got to the after party yet, Moses. It is the 19th round, and FaZe have got a lot to do, especially this round. Obviously, the story's going to be over if they can't get the opening frag. The Wall of Smoke, absolute classic here on Nuke to try and get the run down into Secret. They're going to put 3 people there, and the other 2 with the bomb in lobby. That scares me immediately. I'm worried. What if the bomb gets stolen from them, Moses?
There's 2 players there, though, so they've got a little bit. They got some defense around it. Don't worry, Anders. It'll all be okay. Rain on the stairs. He's going to have a lot of pressure put on him. I imagine if they take Rain out, Molotov's going to force away. They want to go up the vents. I feel like this is going to be an upper split from Team Liquid and really try and surprise Nico as they burst through and some players coming out door. They are applying some pressure here. That's a nice shot from Rain. That's perfect. Good trade, though, from Elige. Any of the rotations coming in and the rest of Team Liquid just waiting. There's Nico. They hear that footstep. They know he's gone down. This is where they bust in. When is the timing hit? A lot of attention at the lower bomb site, which means there's very few defenders up top. That's a big kill from Elige to follow it up.
Oh, that's a spicy headshot, isn't it? Going to be 1 kill in return there as Elige goes down. Guardian starting to step it up. This is a very, very close round. Everything on the line here for FaZe. They want to build something. Nico can't get out of the vent. Molotov goes high instead, which is a really good choice, and he's going to get shot down. Nafly with a bullet straight to his face, and now it's all on Guardian, and he doesn't even get a chance. That's it. 16-3. FaZe not giving themselves much of a chance in the first half. Lost the pistol round in the second half, and just couldn't win that first rifle round. And Nuke is an absolute rolling of FaZe clan. Liquid with a big win, map number 1.
Yeah, I don't want to make too much out of it, but that's a really cool tactic from Liquid, and I think it shows a lot of confidence that the team has in each other as players, and also the confidence that some of these players are starting to build in themselves as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a round where Nitro and Elige just go down lower. The first kill's traded, obviously, but then from there, it's just Elige, duel everyone you see. Just go take a fight, and he wins another one, obviously, with a great headshot, but that helps the rest of Liquid so much when they actually attempt to take that upper bomb site. Really clears things out.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, they don't play the map very often. When they do, it turns out to be even better. That's good. It's good to have, even if they're never going to play it again for the next 3 months. It's like just having it there in the back of your mind, so that if people think, should we try and cheat them into peeking Nuke? You might be like, maybe we don't. Because
it's a cool tool to have, isn't it?
A little bit, right? Yeah. It is that odd map out. Great map. Can't wait for the analysis. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Don't know how to build a team from scratch or find good teammates? DreamTeam.gg, the ultimate team building platform. Find and connect with new players, coaches and teams. Manage and monetize your team. Get on fast track to advance from novice to amateur and, if desired, to professional gamer. Join DreamTeam.gg today.
You still always a monster, Tom!
Good golly, what a show. It was a certain type of show, but I won't be specifying here today. We have some analysts here, and I'm very loud in my ear. There we go. That's a little better. Duncan, Yona, it did feel like a YouTube video, didn't it? It felt like it was a YouTube video waiting to happen.
What you mean when I'm FaZe and they gamble vetoes with me?
Oh, yeah, Carrigan. I can see it now. I can. Carrigan first says, he goes like, he's on the stage, he goes, never gamble. Why is he Russian? Never gamble.
Mob boss, of course. Yeah, okay.
Never gamble vetoes against
never gamble.
me.
All right.
Never gamble vetoes against me. Zeus going, it's going to be crazy. Then you can just see it like going, do. Fudge nuggets. That was a ugly Counter-Strike, wasn't it? Really?
Show.
Yeah, there it is.
I'll tell you what, after watching that, I just want to say, Carrigan, that shit you are talking, are you sober?
Good.
Or was I just gambling vetoes versus you?
That was so, I mean.
Reference.
So to be you know, a little analytical for a moment.
Sure.
It made sense why we saw
Yeah.
FaZe pulling that nuke out. We explained it all in the pre-match, but what on earth did we witness there, Duncan?
I think that was like two factors in one. Like one, I can't look at Team Liquid, even though they won so heavily, and say like they did something amazing or they had some amazing routine on that. They played fairly standard. They had good fragging output, admittedly. But I'll just start immediately over on the side of the FaZe clan by saying if Rain has like 2 kills or something in your first half, it's going to be a real tough day on the T side, because one of the things Rain does most essentially in this team now is he's usually one of those entry players, and his AK is crucial to opening up those sites because they're not a team that has a million executes and flashbang smokes and all the rest of it. They really do rely on getting the opening kills, and then they go into the site and swarm. So you're never going to get that swarm if the first couple of guys are dying. And so, for example, even though Nico was like top in the scoreboard, it felt a bit weak, you know, because he was just getting them like late in the rounds, and it wasn't like a big performance from anyone really.
I mean,
4 for 6.
Of those 2 frags, pretty much Rain got them in the first weapon round as well.
Yes.
Where it actually looked like, you know, Liquid won the pistol round, right? And you think, all right, that's a win condition right there. If they win the pistol round, they get the ball rolling. You go into the first weapon round, FaZe throws the usual outer smokes. You think it's going to be one of those plays into the secret, and they try to split the lower bombs or something. But instead, they actually rush upper straight after. So at that point in time, they make it work really well as well. They only lose like 1 member in that push.
Sure.
You're thinking, all right, cool. They got some swagger here on Nuke T side, and then they go back to that very, very slow, trying to get picks kind of a play style on Nuke, which essentially didn't work at all, because actually from Liquid point of view, even they probably haven't really practiced the map, you know, the basic fundamentals of how to rotate, they had that on point, and they were putting a lot of pressure on Yard as well. Having a player come and peek from Secret a lot of the time, and the player that did that was also timing it perfectly, because the players around Heaven, under Heaven area, when they got the duels, he would then chime in and kind of either trade or get the kill to the back, basically, of that T player. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, when you only get 3 rounds on the T side, that's it puts a lot of emphasis on the pistol round, and then you saw Liquid do the good old rushing ramp going all the way up to Heaven and getting the first 2 kills. You're thinking, well, that's pretty much the game over, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was going to be my follow-up question, which is just, sure, it hasn't looked good for FaZe coming into Nuke, but is this not just a case of you started on T side and lost the pistol coming into CT?
I think it's worse than that, though, because like the thing is, they should have at least, I think minimum, they should have been able to get 5 T rounds there, even from the way they played. It's just that, as Natu says, they never essentially committed to doing the up-tempo style and trying to just hit them. Like, for example, on some of the rounds where you didn't have full economy, okay, you don't have utility, so why are you sitting back? You're not baiting anything out of them at this point in time. Liquid did a pretty good job generally of not peeking into stuff. They just sat at home and made you come to them. I actually thought the whole point of picking this is knowing the opponent's not comfortable. We're going to pressure them, really. We're going to gamble a lot. Like, if we go ramp, we're going to go ramp fast with a lot of guys, take it over. And then what you're doing at that point in time is you're putting pressure on their rotations. What are their comms like?
Course, yeah.
Do they even know what someone does when someone rotates off to this side? Does a guy follow him up? Does he pull back? That's where you could have actually caused a real kind of a discomfort on the Liquid side. But instead, you basically just let them hit shots, just play fairly comfortably. It was always 1 by 1 you were going in, very, very slow. So they still could potentially have done something against that, but you sort of made Liquid as comfortable as they could be on a map. They do not play, as far as we know.
Yeah.
No, look good. Closing thoughts with you, Yona.
No, I felt like they could. I feel like, you know, what I was expecting from them was much more in terms of how they would execute the double bomb set and things like that. You know, even way back when I was playing, like, we would have a way of approaching Nuke in the sense that you always throw those out of smokes, and you'd actually go outside in the beginning of the half to set a premise that we usually go there, right?
Right.
But then you could actually throw a spanner. You just sent 1 player. Think of FaZe. Who would you have to do that? Nico.
Yeah.
You know, usually the guy that does a lot of things alone, can do a lot of damage. And then you would have like the set pieces, either go to upper bomb side or go to ramp together while he's doing that. So you get the rotations from the CTs, you will have less people on the upper bomb side, and you had an actual opportunity to get into the bomb side with a proper set piece. But none of which we actually saw, unfortunately. It was very, very underwhelming.
Yeah, and unfortunately is the word as well, because we painted this picture of, you know, Nuke being a great opportunity. This was perfect from us, you know, perfect from us. Yeah, we were amazing. But
we did our job.
Yeah, we did amazing.
Where were you at, FaZe?
We showed up.
But we painted a picture of this being the best type of practice you're going to get. You know, you're offline, you're on the stage, you've got Nuke, a map you don't often play, versus a good team who were trying, but you're not going to learn much from that result, are you?
No, and the other thing as well is now, even though I already know, and anyone who saw the major knows that definitely if you can beat Mouse Sports on Nuke, you can play them up. So people know that FaZe can play it, and a lot of people probably will think it was a third place game. You know, they'll put all those like pieces of context in. But this actually makes it a bit harder now going into that tournament next week if you FaZe, because how many people actually feel the threat that you would pick Nuke? Actually, you can probably float it against them. They're probably just going to go second rotation. So unless it's a team that themselves don't play the map, I don't think a lot of people are going to really be buying this until now FaZe comes back and shows again they can play the map. So
they had a chance.
underwhelming. And then the other guy we didn't mention actually, because again he did nothing in the game, is Guardian. Guardian was not there. Now I don't blame him entirely. It is a very difficult map to make an AWP work on, but this is 2 days in a row now I haven't seen him turn up, basically. He was very poor in the game against Na'Vi, where it was his maps. This game, I mean, we were joking about it before, and he's the guy where, when they were doing the lineup, just looked like he's not even here. He looked completely vacant there. So I hope we're going to see him in the rest of the series, because this is supposed to be the best AWP in the world.
Yeah, let's cross our fingers and toes that we get to see more from Guardian and the gang in our next map. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, so do not go anywhere. And we're going to be seeing if FaZe can bounce back after a stomping on Nuke.